Remains. What remains? Все. Мы у Милтона вроде. Точно не помню сейчас. Да, у Милтона. Посмотрим, как этот парень.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Кажется, все долго. Все. Милтон.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
Тебе было 4. Сохраненько.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Несколько месяцев, а потом... Ну, биология. Запенили, блядь, все.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out. Mom definitely blamed Edie, but
Мама явно
I think
считала
Lewis blamed himself.
виновной Эдди.
After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Это шпротовист.
Everyone always told me
Wow.
to stay out of Lewis's room. Except Lewis.
Ай-яй-яй. Все. Аккуратненько. Вот и вход.
Lewis's room smelled very,
Да,
very familiar.
очень
That
знакомый
part of him
запах.
I've known.
Таблетосы.
Lewis and I spent a lot of time
Приставочка.
playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Тю-тю. Письмецо.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to
Его разум начал
wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small. Imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
Сколько можно-то?
But he found something more. I worried about him then, daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss, but he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him. But all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won.
И победил.
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
Это стало для него.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on. In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for radiant rainbows. He followed the sound of her electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. hard to argue with him. Began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder.
Oh, come on, Bolbon.
The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him. His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who would be missed by all of us who knew him.
Mrs. Finch, ваш сын был хороший человек. Искренне, доктор Мелли.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Рыбник. Эдди остался такой.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder.
Сомневаюсь, что от этого стало проще.
I wish we'd stayed.
Хотелось уезжать.
But I understand why we
Я
left.
понимал, почему мы это делаем.
My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
В конце концов, она просто взяла Оставила все позади.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time.
Вечером слишком.
Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and
Просто
didn't say a
смотрела,
word.
как мы покупаем вещи.
Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
To our final night together, and all our final nights apart.
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith,
Oh,
you're
oh.
excused.
Девчонка. Сходим, посмотрим.
the power had been shut off that morning, but
Вот то
Edie
утро.
always had plenty of candles.
И всё. Но Эди всегда было.
When my mom said the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance, or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you. So many time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. No, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. For a while, I wondered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it. Let go. I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the band came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by.
Дуй.
My mom didn't like to talk about it,
Мама не любила об этом говорить.
but she started getting sick a
Она
lot.
начала сильно болеть. Ох, как сильно.
The rest happened.
Одуванчик ей было довольно быстро.
She got better for a while,
Сначала ей стало
and
лучше,
then she didn't.
и потом уже нет.
And then I was alone.
Потом я осталась одна.
The last Finch left alive.
Последняя из Финчей.
Until I found out about you.
Пока не узнала о тебе.
I'm still not sure what to tell
До
you
сих
about all
пор не
this.
знаю, что сказать.
If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand
Если
things.
бы мы жили вечно, то,
But as it
возможно,
is,
хватило бы
I
времени.
think the best we can do is try to open our eyes and appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it.
Сейчас я надеюсь,
I
что
just-
ты никогда. Я просто хочу увидеться с тобой
Tell you all these stories myself.
и лично рассказать тебе все эти истории.
But I guess if you're reading this now,
Но раз ты сейчас
things didn't work out that
читаешь,
way.
значит все по-другому.
This is where your story
Ну,
begins.
здесь
I'm sorry I
начинается
won't be
твоя
here to see
история.
it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Эдит Финч. Для цели своего похода. Это самоушка его. Все. Быстро. Прикольненько. Ой, кто это? Шарлидыш. Ландаус. Спасибо всем, кто смотрел это прохождение. Ну или, не знаю, как это назвать. Игруха. Прикольная такая. Ну, быстро я прошел как-то сзади. Чё там у нас? Концовочка еще идет. ладно, что смотреть до конца-то. Все. Все. Всем спасибо и пока.